Even at the last moment as he was about to leave for the monastery, his wife insisted, "Oh, before you leave, do go and sow the peas in the fields as the land is already been plowed and ready for sowing." Figuring it wouldn't take a long time for this task, he obliged. For the last time, on the 1st of November, 1920, the fifth waning day of Thaden Gyut in 1920 ME, he went off to the fields with a pair of oxen. There, he mounted the plow and shouted at the two oxen to start moving. But the oxen did not move. Instead, they kept looking back at him, as if to say something. Yu Kyo-din pondered, these two oxen had never given me trouble before. They always started moving energetically, competing with each other whenever I mounted the plow. I never have to prod at them. Well, even the oxen are forcing me to leave. If I couldn't be firm and decide for my resolution on my own this time, what a useless fool would I be? Reproaching himself thus, he compelled himself to get off the plow, unclasped the harness, took off the yoke and put the plow up leaning against a tree. He then unleashed the two oxen to release them, saying, "Well, I'm letting you two off from servitude for good. Go wherever you want. We will depart and never ever meet again, in life or in death." After setting the oxen free for good, he headed off to Yu Kyok Monastery. On the way, he met a friend, Do Tin, who asked him where he was going. He replied, "I'm going to the monastery to become a samanera, novice. In that case, I have a worn-out akachiya, upper robe of a bhikkhu's attire, also called uttara sangha. Take it, but don't let your wife know about it." When he reached the monastery, Abbot Yu Kyok, also called Uvariya, gave him thin pine, lower garment of a bhikkhu's robe, also called Antara Vasaka, and initiated him into the order of bhikkhu as a samanera by the name of Shin, 12, Kawi. Because he became a revered bhikkhu, addressed as Kodo in Myanmar, after leaning, which is termed dong, in Myanmar, the plow, called tun, against a tree, he was also known as Tun Dong Kodo, meaning, revered bhikkhu who left the plow leaning against a tree. Yu Kyo-din made the wish to become a bhikkhu in 1919 on the 8th of October, the full moon day of Thadim Gyut 1281 ME, at the village pagoda after offering lights, and he entered into the order of Samgha in 1920 on the 1st of November, 1282 ME, on the 5 waning day of Thadim Gyut. So it took him only a year to have his wish fulfilled. As soon as he became a novice, he went to Mongyin Po ravine at the south of Sunlun village to resume his practice alone. 5 days after entering the order, his friend Yu Shui Luk joined him as a novice, samanera, taking the name Shin Visaya, and went to stay with Shim Kawi. One day, Shim Kawi found a big mushroom near the monastery. When he pulled it off, the big mushroom together with a whole group of many satellite small buds were uprooted from the ground. He interpreted it as a good omen, a token that he would certainly be fully liberated and uprooted from the woeful rounds of birth, the samsara. He pursued his meditation with relentless vigor, vowing with resounding will and determination to seek his goal even if he had to pay for it with his life. 4. In 1920, on the 9th of November, Tuesday, 1281 ME, 13th waning day of Thadim Gyut, at around 10 p.m., he saw a regal silvery-covered walkway, as those in pagodas, during his meditation. Then, he saw a flying chariot making a buzzing sound coming down straight towards him at a high speed from above the sky. He ignored it, focusing his mind only on the mediation process. Suddenly he felt his body becoming very light, as if it was being lifted up. He found himself on the chariot. When he looked around, he saw the 4 great celestial guardians, 13, of the world at the 4 corners, and Sakka, 14, the king of the celestial world himself, on his right side. He concluded that these high celestial devas had come to protect him because he was about to attain higher supramundane insight. So he did not shift his lotus position but remained firmly focused on the meditation process. At last, he attained the fourth and the highest of the enlightened paths and thus became an arahat. He wound up his meditation and looked around. The celestial king, the 4 celestial guardians and the chariot had disappeared. After his final attainment of the fourth path knowledge, he came to possess the power of supernatural eye. He could see right through the universe, from the uppermost Brahma realm above to the lowest realm of hell, Avicii. Then, he saw the celestial king, Sakka, and the 4 guardian celestials returning back to the celestial world calling out to their subjects in resounding voices extolling and urging, an arahat has now arisen in the human world. Do go and pay homage. He saw in his vision many beings closest to him. Then he saw spirits of the earth, spirits of trees and many resplendent celestials, devas, from different realms, from the lowly spirits to the highest Brahmas in groups by groups in endless array, coming to pay him homage. Watching all these beings, he was able to observe and comprehend in full detail the existence of the 3 external world, external loka, and the 3 internal world, internal loka. He came to understand the 3 external mundane world, external loka, as the animate world, Satta loka, the world of all living beings. Then, the conditioned world, Sankhara loka, the world of karmic formations, forces, volitional activities, that is conditioning the living beings. And thirdly, the inanimate world, Okasa loka, which forms the habitat, the base of all living beings. And he found and comprehended in minute detail the 3 internal world, internal loka. The animate world, Satta loka, as the phenomena of mind, concomitants of mind and matter, in a continual flux of arising and perishing. Then, the conditioned world, Sankhara loka, as the conditioning factors. Volitional activities, the karmic formations or forces, responsible for the arising and passing away of mind, concomitants of mind and matter. And the inanimate world, Okasa loka, which forms the base of all these phenomena. Then he came to understand and appreciate deeply the 9 noble attributes of the Buddha, the 6 attributes of Dharma, the teachings, and 9 attributes of Sangha, the order. He looked back and analyzed his own paths in stages. Upon nearing Satipatthana, the first path of enlightenment, this was how he experienced the path knowledge. This is matter, rupa. This is mind, nama. This is consciousness, chitta. These are concomitants of mind, cetasika. This is the truth of suffering, dukkha sakka. This is the truth of origin of suffering, samudaya sakka. This is the truth of the path leading to the cessation of suffering, magga sakka. This is the truth of cessation of suffering, nirodha sakka. So, this experiencing and discerning these 4 noble, Arya, truths is called Satipatthana Magga, the path knowledge of the stream winner, the first path of enlightenment, Satipatthana Phala, the fruition of the stream winner knowledge. For the second time, this is matter, rupa. This is mind, nama. This is consciousness, chitta. These are concomitants of mind, cetasika. This is the truth of suffering, dukkha sakka. This is the truth of origin of suffering, samudaya sakka. This is the truth of the path leading to the cessation of suffering, magga sakka. This is the truth of cessation of suffering, nirodha sakka. So, this experiencing and discerning these 4 noble, Arya, truths is called Sakadagami Magga, the path knowledge of the once returner, the second path of enlightenment, and Sakadagami Phala, the fruition of the once returner knowledge. For the third time, this is matter. Rupa. This is mind. Nama. This is consciousness. Chitta. These are concomitants of mind. Cetasika. This is the truth of suffering. Dukkha Saka. This is the truth of origin of suffering. Samudaya Saka. This is the truth of the path leading to the cessation of suffering. Magga Saka. This is the truth of cessation of suffering. Nirodha Saka. So, this experiencing and discerning these four noble Arya truths is the attainment of Anagami Magga, the path knowledge of the non-returner, the third path of enlightenment, and Anagami Phala, the fruition of the non-returner knowledge. For the fourth time, this is matter. Rupa. This is mind. Nama. This is consciousness. Chitta. These are concomitants of mind. Cetasika. This is the truth of suffering. Dukkha Saka. This is the truth of origin of suffering. Samudaya Saka. This is the truth of the path leading to the cessation of suffering. Magga Saka. This is the truth of cessation of suffering. Nirodha Saka. So, this experiencing and discerning these four noble Arya truths is the attainment of Arahata Magga, the path knowledge of the Arahat, the fourth and final path of enlightenment, and Arahata Phala, the fruition of the Arahata knowledge. That was how Shinkawi made a detailed retrospection, Pakavekana, of each of the paths he had attained, after which he remained in a state of bliss, a kind which only Aryas could experience. Shinkawi looked back at his previous lives in the light of cause and effect, resultant, principle. He found that in most existences, he had been born into animal world. The number as human existence was very few in fact. As the lives of his past existences were so numerous and endless, he wanted to know why in this life he came to attain the highest of the path knowledge, so he expressed a solemn resolution made on asseveration of truth, adhitthana, to know the cause of this effect. He found it was the resultant of the wish he had made after offering fruits to the Kassapa Buddha, the third Buddha of this earth, Bhaddakappa, as a parrot. About 3 months after Shinkawi became a novice, Yilei Sayadaw of Maketeela town had a dream one night. In it, he saw 2 white elephants entering the monastery from flying up in the sky. Soon after, Upo Ta from Myingyan and Uba San, the chief clerk of the Steel Brothers Company, paid a visit to Yilei Sayadaw. They informed him that 2 very extraordinary novices had appeared near Sunlun village, at Mong Yin Po Chalk Ravine, and that they had become Arya, noble ones, but that they did not seem to be learned. Yilei Sayadaw remarked that if those 2 Samras are Aryas, they would surely know the facts of Panati, conventional truth, the Paramatta, ultimate truth, and the law of nature. He asked them to invite the 2 novices. When Shinkawi and Shinvisaya arrived at the monastery, he inquired and questioned in detail about the meditative processes they had gone through. Finally, he was convinced and concluded that Shinkawi had indeed accomplished the task as bhikkhu, i.e. becoming an arahat, the final goal of a bhikkhu. He then went on to ask as follows. Five abbreviated notes on the questions by Yilei Sayadaw and answers by Shinkawi. Q. In the 3 spheres of existences, who is the builder of the house? A. Craving. Tanha, is the builder, Venerable Sir. Q. What is the seed germ of the volitional activities, Sankhara, of these 3 spheres? A. Ignorance. Avijja, is the seed germ, Venerable Sir. Q. Is it due to meritorious deeds, kusala, or demeritorious deeds, akusala, that a being become a human? A. It is due to both meritorious deeds, kusala, and demeritorious deeds, akusala, that a being become a human. Q. Would you say, take, meritorious deeds, kusala, as pleasantness, happiness, sukha, or as unpleasantness, suffering, dukkha? A. Meritorious deeds are said to be pleasantness, happiness, sukha, but in actual truth they are unpleasantness, suffering, dukkha, because they also contribute to the rounds of birth, samsara, leading to suffering. Q. Are there human happiness, sukha, and celestial happiness, sukha, in true terms? A. In mundane conditioned world, sankhata, there are human happiness, sukha, and celestial happiness, sukha. In terms of ultimate nature, paramatta, there aren't. Q. Are there who suffer in hell, nariya realms, and who enjoy in heaven, deva realms? A. In terms of ultimate reality, paramatta, there aren't. Q. In the mundane conditioned world, loka, there are two kinds of sentient beings, those who suffer pain, and those who enjoy pleasures. Which kind would you say is truly in existence? A. Both of them are truly in existence, Venerable Sir. Q. What would you call these two kinds? A. Both are called mind, nama, and matter, rupa. Q. In the mundane conditioned world, loka, are there killers and the killed? A. Yes, there are, Venerable Sir. Q. In what way would you say they are? A. They are in fact mind, nama, and matter, rupa. Q. Is it true that those who kill go to hell, nariya? A. Yes, it's true, Venerable Sir. Q. If it is true, in what sense do you mean by that? A. Mind, nama, and matter, rupa. These two make one go to hell, nariya, and also, these two keep one from going to hell, as well as strive to reach nibbana. Q. In the world, there is a belief in which there are killers and the killed, and another belief in which there are no killers and none that is killed. Which one is the right view, samaditi, and which is the wrong view, micchaditi? A. Apart from belief in mind and matter, nama and rupa, both are of wrong views, Venerable Sir. Q. What would you believe in to have the right view, samaditi? A. To acknowledge and accept the existence of mind and matter, nama and rupa, is to have the right view, Venerable Sir. Q. Can someone who doesn't understand the nature of ultimate reality, paramatta, fulfill the 10 perfections, parami? A. No, he cannot, Venerable Sir. Q. There are two kinds of truth, conventional truth, panati, and ultimate truth, paramatta. If one only knows conventional truth, panati, can he obtain supramundane path knowledge, magga-nana? A. No, he cannot, Venerable Sir. Q. Which would you call is the real truth, conventional truth, panati, or ultimate truth, paramatta? A. Only ultimate truth, paramatta, can be called the real truth. Q. Of the two views, micchaditi, wrong view, and samaditi, right view, when will you say that one has the right view, samaditi? A. From the time you discard ditti, wrong views, and visakicha, 15, skeptical doubts, you come to hold the right view, samaditi, 16. Yi Lei Sayadaw acknowledged Shinkawi's answers praising him. Well said. Very good indeed. Knowledge of reality of this nature is highly profound. They are extremely deep and difficult to understand, and yet you had answered well to my satisfaction. From now on, we would like to practice the method you had discovered. Moreover, we would like you to introduce it to our lay devotees so as the door to Apaya, the four nether worlds, would be forever closed for them, if and when they attain Sotapanna, the first path of enlightenment. Do stay with us at our monastery for Rain's retreat period, Vasa 17, of this year. Shin Kawi accepted with joy. Very well, Venerable Sir. I'm so glad of your invitation, as I'm looking for a mentor for proper guidance to study the Buddhist scriptures. Shin Kawi's contemplation on the 10 Kasinas, 18. Yi Lei Sayadaw advised Shin Kawi to practice meditation on the 10 Kasinas, objects of meditation. Shin Kawi asked the Sayadaw about the procedures. Under the Sayadaw's specific guidance, Shin Kawi followed the instructions meticulously on each and every Kasina. He practiced the 10 Kasinas one by one, related his experience and findings to Yi Lei Sayadaw, who then checked them out. In just one day, Shin Kawi had mastered all 10. The following night, Shin Kawi heard a voice from the spiritual world asking a question in Pali, Nana dasanam vividam. Shin Kawi answered, Nana means knowledge, and vividam is various, diverse or many. The spirit acknowledged his answer, saying, well done, well done. Sadhu, sadhu, and disappeared. In the morning, Shin Kawi related the incident to Yi Lei Sayadaw. You answered right, Shin Kawi, remarked the Sayadaw. Some nights later, Shin Kawi heard a voice in Pali saying, renounce your life. Which in effect meant urging him to die, renounce Ayu Sankara. Shin Kawi replied firmly, no, I will not. The voice disappeared then. The next morning, he related the occurrence to Yi Lei Sayadaw, who asked, did you say yes to what they requested? No, Venerable Sir, I didn't, replied Shin Kawi. Don't accept or agree to what they say. They won't back off yet. Maras, evil spirits, will come back again. Do be careful, warned Yi Lei Sayadaw. Within a few nights, a spiritual being appeared in person requesting Shin Kawi, please do not teach the Four Noble, Arya, truths. Yes, I will, replied Shin Kawi. Aren't you listening to what I'm saying? Insisted the spirit to pay heed to his demand. Sensing the spirit's anger, Shin Kawi decided to send a disametta, loving kindness that is directed to a specific person. When Shin Kawi asked, don't you receive my loving kindness? He replied, yes, I do, Venerable Sir, and retreated into the darkness moaning sadly, alas. Many beings are going to gain emancipation by Dharma. The next morning, upon hearing the episode, Yi Lei Sayadaw told him to follow the tracks of the spirit. He contemplated and found the spirit who had asked him to renounce his life and who then implored him not to preach the Four Noble Truths. Shin Kawi related his findings to Yi Lei Sayadaw. I found the spirit was only a minion of the Mara. Mara himself had become a good person now. A few days later, two spirits in the form of young damsels wearing red flowers in their hair came to see Shin Kawi in the deep of the night. They left the monastery only when Shin Kawi rebuked, what task have you got to do here? Wanting to test Shin Kawi's mental powers, Yi Lei Sayadaw asked him whether there would be any patron in future who would repair the old Shui Mai in tin pagoda, later gilded with gold, situated on the east bank of Make Ti La Lake. At that time, The colonial British military stationed at Make Ti La town had used the upper part of the pagoda as a signaling post with mirrors, lights, radio signals, etc. And hence the deterioration. Shin Kawi used his contemplative powers and said, "Yes, a forthcoming patron will repair the pagoda." Yi Lei Sayadaw inquired further, "Will that person be a bhikkhu or a layman?" Shin Kawi again used his supernormal mental powers and answered that it would be a layman, describing his house in detail, even to the design of the clothes he was wearing at that moment while walking in front of his house. Yi Lei Sayadaw sent someone to check out the man and his particulars including his name and made a record. Some years later, he found that man was the person who happened to be the patron taking the lead in the renovation of the pagoda. Note: the patron was Yu Kyorzo and his wife Daw Tae of Make Ti La. Answers to questions by Yi Lei Sayadaw on the prophetic riddles current in those days. The following are the conversations in which Yi Lei Sayadaw asked Shin Kawi of the prophetic riddles current in those days. Yi Lei Sayadaw asked, "Do you see that great Make Ti La lake over there?" Yu Kawi replied, "Yes, I do, Venerable Sir." Yi Lei Sayadaw continued, 4 reservoirs have now formed from that great lake. And there is a prophetic riddle going around town. It goes like this. In the vicinity of Make Ti La, 4 reservoirs have formed from the great lake. 80,000 and more of alchemists, Vijja, 19, will surface. Anybody who wish to have a gain, work on your furnace. Fa. How do you interpret this prophetic riddle? Yu Kawi asked back, "How would you make out the alchemist, Vijja, and how would you interpret the furnace?" Yi Lei Sayadaw answered, "Well, alchemists, Vijja, are of course those striving for perfection in occult matters on medicine, magical talisman, mercury, mantras, etc. And Fa is meant by those furnace and crucibles, 20, they use in their working ground." Yu Kawi offered his own revelation, "Venerable Sir, by Vijja, it means Arya Vijja, one who had attained path knowledge. Fa, the furnace, is meant for Anapana, in breath and out-breath, the working ground to acquire Vijja, supramundane path knowledge." Yi Lei Sayadaw acknowledged Yu Kawi's interpretation. Yes, you are right Yu Kawi, you are right. We are a bit off track on this aspect. From that day on, after admitting his waywardness, he abandoned his amulets for occult use, furnace and all things connected with alchemy for good, and started to practice Anapana, the mindfulness on the touch of out-breath and in-breath. Yi Lei Sayadaw discussed further with Yu Kawi on more prophetic riddles circulating in town. Yi Lei Sayadaw said, "Time is now over 2,000 years. Like the market about to close. Hurry and buy for yourself. If not, there won't be any left. When time reaches 5,000. How would you interpret this riddle?" Yu Kawi explained his own interpretation. The time of Sasana, Buddha's teachings, has now passed 2,000 years. It is like a market about to close. Time has now come into the Vimutti, 21, era, the era for emancipation, Nibbana, through Vipassana practice. That is why, if people strive for insight development, they would have the opportunity to achieve higher insight wisdom, Panna, in accordance with their parami, past perfections, the accumulation of virtues developed and brought to maturity. Yi Lei Sayadaw continued, "There is also another prophetic riddle going around. How would you make out on this? It goes like this. From In-Khan to En-Get-Kya. From En-Get-Kya to Ledi. From Ledi to Tun-Sin. It roughly translated like this: when the reservoir dries up, the birds come. When the birds come, the fields are settled. When the fields are settled, one comes down from the plough. Yu Kawi elucidated his version. First there appeared In-Khan Sayadaw. In-Khan means reservoir drying up, who became very well known. Then he was followed by En-Get-Twin Sayadaw. En-Get-Kya means birds come, who was also widely known. Then came the famous, world-renowned, Ledi Sayadaw. Ledi means fields are settled. The last one, Tun-Sin, is meant for me. Tun, plough, Sin, coming down, meaning coming down from the plough. I had entered the order of Samga immediately after coming down from the plough, so some people called me Tun Town Monk, or Tun Tone Monk, attaching me to the plough, Tun. Well, you can call me whatever name you like and make out whatever you may. Coming down from the plough, Tun Sin, would definitely clear away the dirt, meaning for people to clear away defilements and obtain enlightenment. Yi Li Sayadaw remarked in appreciation, yes, that is very sensible and natural. Shin Kawi then made a request to Yi Li Sayadaw, Venerable Sir, I don't want to practice the kasinas anymore, as it is for power of mind through concentration of mind. Otherwise, if people start coming to seek my advice for their lost cattle, lost person and the like, I would soon become a shaman. Yi Li Sayadaw had made a pact with his friend Nyang Lunt Sayadaw, Yu Mei Dawi, that whoever happened to attain the higher stages of Dharma, supramundane insight, would inform the other. Yi Li Sayadaw wrote a letter to his good friend who lived in Naung Lunt village, Yemei Thin Township, that although he himself had not obtained supramundane knowledge, he had discovered a highly unique novice, Samanera, who had attained it, and to come quickly to see for himself at his monastery in Make Ti La. Upon his arrival at Yi Li Monastery, Nyang Lunt Sayadaw took a look at Shin Kawi. He was not impressed and said so to his friend, referring a saying in Myanmar. When Sulei, 22, shrubs arrive, the clearing for thrashing gets destroyed. When a bhikkhu who's been married arrives, the monastery gets destroyed. But Yi Li Sayadaw replied, oh, do reserve your criticism before investigating Shin Kawi. When Nyang Lunt Sayadaw was about to ask questions, Shin Kawi made a request, please Venerable Sir, I would like to say something before you ask me. There are two different matters. One is Lokiya, those concerned with mundane, and the other is Lokuttara, those concerned with supramundane, the Nibbana. If you are asking on mundane matters, Lokiya, please confine your questions within mundane boundary and not cross over to supramundane. Likewise, when asking on supramundane, Lokuttara, please don't cross over to Lokiya. I have no inclination to answer if you ask with the two subject matters mixed up. Nyang Lunt Sayadaw thought Shin Kawi's statement was arrogant. He then proceeded to ask him solely on supramundane, Lokuttara, matters the first day, and mundane, Lokiya, matters only on the second day. Seven. Brief account on questions by Nyang Lunt Sayadaw and answers by Shin Kawi. Q. Shin Kawi, tell me the 5 constituents of mundane jhana. 23. A. Venerable Sayadaw, I wouldn't know how to describe the constituents of jhana that you mentioned. Please let me tell the way I know it. Very well then, you may say as you deem fit. Approved Nyang Lunt Sayadaw. So Shinkawi continued his answer thus. Venerable Sir, what you meant to say is about the kasina, object of meditation. First, you put your attention on the object of meditation. Then you contemplate on it. Tingling of skin like goose pimples appear on the body and you tremble. Then, there is bliss. Then, you felt deep calmness. Q. What did you say? Say it again. A. Say. Here is the kasina, object of meditation. You focus your mind on the object of meditation. Then you contemplate on it. Creeping of skin like goose flesh form on your body and you tremble. Then, there is bliss. This is followed by deep calmness. That is all. You may name them or call them whatever you wish. Q. Yes, that's right. Let me see. Fixing the mind onto the kasina is vitaka. Vitaka is initiation of thought, the function of directing the mind towards the object of thought, here kasina disc. Concentrating and contemplating is vikara. Vikara is sustained application of the mind to reproduce the kasina disc image in the mind and retaining it, retention of image. Creeping of skin like goose flesh appearing on the body followed by trembling is piti. Piti is delightful satisfaction, pleasurable interest in the object of thought, zest. The thrill of joy that causes the flesh to creep. Occurrence of bliss is sukha. Sukha is deep tranquility with great joy. The one-pointedness of mind which follows is ekagata. Sukha is replaced and purified by equanimity, known as upekkha, and mindfulness. Nyang Lunt Sayadaw said, all right, I agree with you. Now continue with the subject on jhana. So, Shinkawi continued his description of jhana one by one till the fifth jhana. Q. Wait a minute. In Akasanan-kayatana jhana, the jhana of infinite space, what do you contemplate on? Is it on conventional truth, panati concept, or on ultimate reality, paramatta? A. You contemplate on conventional truth, panati, concept, as its object of meditation. Akasanan-kayatana jhana, the jhana of the infinity of space, is the first of the four immaterial jhana, arupa jhana, and to develop it, one has to contemplate on the infinite space, which is a conventional truth, panati, concept, as the object of meditation after coming out from the fifth rupa jhana. Q. What about in Vijnanankayatana jhana, the jhana of infinite consciousness? Do you contemplate on conventional truth, panati, concept, or ultimate reality, paramatta? A. You contemplate on ultimate reality, paramatta, as its object of meditation. Vijnanankayatana jhana is the second of the four immaterial jhana, arupa jhana, and to develop it, one has to contemplate on infinite consciousness, akasanan-kayatana kasala citta, which is an ultimate reality, paramatta, as the object of meditation, after one's subtle clinging, nikanti, for the first arupa jhana disappears. Q. Then in akankanayatana jhana, the jhana of nothingness, what do you contemplate on, conventional truth, panati, or ultimate reality, paramatta? A. You contemplate on conventional truth, panati, concept, as its object of meditation. Akankanayatana jhana is the third of the four immaterial jhana, arupa jhana, and to develop it, one has to contemplate on nothingness, the object of meditation, i.e. on the non-existence of akasanan-kayatana kasala citta. Nothingness is a conventional truth, panati, concept. You meditate thus after transcending from the second arupa jhana. Q. How about the navasananasanayatana jhana? On what do you contemplate? Concept, panati, or ultimate reality, paramattha? A. You contemplate on ultimate reality, paramattha, as its object of meditation. Navasananasanayatana jhana, the jhana of neither perception nor non-perception, is the fourth of the four immaterial jhana, arupa jhana, and to attain it, one has to contemplate on the third arupa jhana consciousness, the object of meditation, i.e. on akankanayatana kasala citta. In navasananasanayatana jhana, consciousness is so subtle and refined that one cannot definitely say whether there is a consciousness, perception, or not. Consciousness is no longer noticeable at the stage of this jhana. Q. When you are transcending from akankanayatana jhana to vinanankayatana jhana, do you contemplate on the lower jhana or higher jhana as the object of meditation? I.e. transcending from the first, jhana of infinite space, to the second, jhana of infinite consciousness, of the four immaterial jhana. A. You contemplate on the lower jhana to transcend to the higher jhana. Vinanankayatana jhana is the second of the four immaterial jhana, arupa jhana, and to develop it, one has to contemplate on infinite consciousness, akasanankayatana kasala citta, which is an ultimate reality, paramattha, as the object of meditation, after one's subtle clinging, nikanti, for the first arupa jhana disappears. Q. Oh no. How could it be? How could you contemplate below to transcend higher? A. Yes, sir. You have to contemplate below. Please let me give you an example. Let's say, there is a pit of excrements over there which you don't want to fall into. Being anxious of not falling into it, you watch it and climb upwards to get away from it. Only then, Nyang Lunt Sayadaw was satisfied. Sunlun Sayadaw later recounted, the Sayadaws did not question further on that subject. Had they done so, I was ready to clarify on certain points. In the Pali text, it was stated that in a rupa sphere, the non-material existence, no concept, panati, is there, nathibo. And it also stated that you contemplate on concept, panati, in the arupa jhanas. If they were to ask, how are you going to contemplate on any concepts, panati, where there is nothing? I would have answered, you can contemplate on the concept, as the object of meditation, which is not there. And should they ask, how? I would have replied, showing them an object. Look, here is an object. You see it, right? Then, I would hide it and ask them again, is there any object now? No, there isn't. Though there isn't any object now, you can think of that object you have seen, and can reflect and contemplate on it. Try it and you find you can contemplate on it, right? That is how you contemplate on thought object, concept, panati, which is absent. For 2 whole days, Nyang Lunt Sayadaw, Yume Dawi, conducted his questioning and checked back Shinkawi's answers on subjects relating to both Lokiya, mundane matters, and Lokuttara, supramundane matters. Yi Lei Sayadaw then told Nyang Lunt Sayadaw, well, it was because of my previous promise to you that I had sent for you and arranged this meeting. If you are satisfied with the answers, you may accept them, and if not, you may disregard them. He also added that if he had finished his questioning to Shinkawi, he could return to his own monastery. Sayadaw Yume Dawi did not make anything but went back to his own monastery at Nyang Lunt on the 3rd day. Once he got there, he looked up various Pali texts for 3 whole days and found Shinkawi's answers to be in accordance with them. He then sounded the hollow trunk hung at the monastery, a traditional practice of monasteries for signaling, to summon all the bhikkhus studying at the monastery. Relating to them of what he had learned about the Dharma from Shinkawi, He urged them to take up the meditation method as discovered by Shinkawi. Meanwhile, Yilei Sayadaw advised Shinkawi to get ordained into the rank of full-fledged bhikkhuhood, Upasampada, as the latter was still a novice then. But Shinkawi declined, saying, "Venerable Sir, I'm not a learned monk, I couldn't learn the Buddhist scriptures and have no inclination to do so. Furthermore, I don't know the Vinaya disciplinary rules, which in fact is a very big subject on its own. I prefer to contemplate and practice Dharma, meditation, which I have discovered." But Yilei Sayadaw insisted, "There is no need to learn the Vinaya disciplinary rules. You just listen and follow what we instruct you. If a novice of your stature were to be ordained to become a full-fledged monk, bhikkhu, that would have a profound impact on sasana even by carrying out simple service like officiating in ordination for a new bhikkhu into the order, upasampada, or in the demarcation of a sima, ordination hall." Due to Yilei Sayadaw's persuasion, Shinkawi acceded, and on the 4th of April 1921, 12th waning day of Tabong, 1282 ME, Monday at 4:09 p.m., the ordination ceremony, 24, was carried out for Shinkawi and Shin Visaya in Kanda Sima, ordination hall, of Yilei Monastery in Make Tila town. At the ordination ceremony, Hinyan Kan Sayadaw acted as Upajayakarya, preceptor superior or chairman of the assembly. Yilei Sayadaw, Nyang Lunt Sayadaw and over 10 other bhikkhus participated as Kamavaka readers. 25. Yu Po, a broker from Make Tila, and his wife Dor Kai Nyo were the lay sponsors of Yu Kawi. Shin Kawi together with his friend Shin Visaya were at last ordained into the order of Samga. Shin Kawi from then on became known as Sayadaw Yu Kawi. The first sermon by Sayadaw Yu Kawi expressing joy. After being ordained into the order of Samga, Sayadaw Yu Kawi stayed at Yilei Monastery in Make Tila for about a year. In 1921, ME 1283, he went back for a visit to Sunlun village, his native place at Myingyan. There, the villagers, wanting to find out how Yu Kawi conducted his monkhood, made a request, "Venerable Yu Kawi, please honor us with a sermon together with the customary recitation of Parata, 26, and reading of Kamavaka, 27, protection verses." Yu Kawi accepted their request and pondered, "Well, it wouldn't be difficult for me to recite the Paritas and read Kamavaka as it would be done together with other bhikkhus in a group, as was the traditional practice. But delivering the sermon has to be administered alone and I haven't prepared anything. I wonder what I should talk about." While trying to think of something, an idea came up when he saw village girls came in, each marking her own water pot filled with auspicious flowers, and placing it at the designated area for blessing. "I shall deliver my sermon based on these water pots to be blessed by Parata verses, 28, decided Sayadaw Yu Kawi. So he started up his sermon. "In all living beings, there are kasala, 29, merits, and akasala, 30, demerits. When kasala shows its meritorious resultants, they kept smiling with satisfaction as everything is going their way. But when akasala appears and displays its demeritorious resultants, they grimace with disdain. For example, do you see that big lake over there?" "Yes, we do, Venerable Sir," replied the congregation. "Do you think it's good for the people here if that lake's embankment break away, flooding the surrounding area?" "Of course not, Venerable Sir," replied the gathered audience. "Will it be good if there is a hole in it?" "Of course not, Venerable Sir, if that is so, let's repair the lake's damaged part. Let's mend the breach in the lake's embankment. Let's raise the embankment in order to raise the lake's water level. Let the lake, Kama, be in superb condition. Likewise, a living being's karma, 31, Kama, is like a lake. If akasala, demeritorious karma resultants, appear to give trouble, it is like a breached lake causing damage. It is like a hole appearing in the lake's embankment resulting in destruction. So let's repair and raise the lake's embankment. Let's mend the breach. Let's improve our karma. How do we improve it? Well, there are many ways. We listen to discourses on Dharma and protective paritas. We pay ceremonial homage to the 9 Buddhas, traditional way of group recitation of stanzas and reverence to the 9 Buddhas done at night time. We build little stupas for homage, build support to sacred banyan trees, by propping with bamboo poles to the main sagging branches to provide proper shade, repair or build small bridges in public passageways or paths, for public convenience, offering food to samgas, etc., etc. By these wholesome meritorious deeds, Kasala Kama, we are strengthening, enhancing and improving our own karma. It would be like repairing the broken reservoir. With deep faith and conviction, if we take refuge in true Buddha, true Dharma and true Samga, order of Bhikkhus, 96 kinds of illnesses, traditional way of expressing various kinds of diseases, could be allayed or cured and prosperity would thrive too. But be careful not to take refuge in the wrong places. I must tell you how I used to take shelter in the wrong sanctuary before. Buddham Saranam Gacchami. I take refuge in Buddha. Dhamman Saranam Gacchami. I take refuge in Dharma. Samjam Saranam Gacchami. I take refuge in Samga. To take refuge in the 3 jewels of Buddha, Dharma and Samga, is a well-known statement in the teachings of the Buddha, but I had ignored it. Instead, I went to embrace misguided refuge in my son, my daughter and my spouse. Because of that, do you know what vanished? The 3 sacred jewels of Buddha, Dharma and Samga faded out and vanished from my life. I'm telling you about my own erroneous refuge, not of other people's. Now, let me tell you about how I got it all wrong. Naturally, I had wanted very much to provide and adorn my children with jewelry and the like, and so tried hard to get money out of other people's pockets with all means. The more I got things for my kids, the merrier I felt, thinking I was being very smart. So happy and proud was I going to village fairs and festivals and to pagodas for paying homage with my children dressed in beautiful attire and jewelry. You wouldn't know how exuberantly happy, arrogant and boastful I had been then. To fulfill all those obligations to my family, I did things which I detested doing. Those were the days when I had to get up very early in the mornings and worked in the fields, not caring to be afraid of snakes and scorpions. I had to plow the paddy fields without wanting to. Do you know why? It was because I happened to take wrong refuge in attachment to my family and desire for sense pleasures, raga. I had to harvest rice crops without wanting to. I had to harvest corn crops without wanting to. Do you know why? It was because I had taken wrong refuge in attachment and craving for sense pleasures. When Sayadaw U Kawi saw the wife and daughter of the village chief in the audience, he remembered the village chief's orders which he had to follow like all other villagers as obligatory duty. So he continued his sermon like this: I had to make village fencing with thorny branches without wanting to. I had to put up with sentry duty at the sentry post without wanting to. When I heard the resonant beating of the gong from the village chief's house summoning us, I would go there without wanting to. All these village duties, I had done with much reluctance. Do you know why? It was all because I was a slave to sensual desires and attachments and had enshrined them as my refuge. Well, I'm relating my mistakes, not of other people's. Let my mistakes be a lesson to you all. And do you know why I took the wrong refuge? It was because of ignorance, avijja, to see the true nature of things. That is why, because of ignorance, you desire, crave. Because of your craving, you cling. Because of your clinging and obsession, you make effort to do things to get what you want. Because of those efforts and deeds, you get what you crave. And when you do get it, you end up with sufferings. Ignorance is avijja, craving is tanha, clinging, obsession is upadana. Making effort and doing the deeds, volitional acts, is sankhara. Getting it is life, bhrava, existence. Ignorance, avijja, and craving, tanha. When these two get combined, the result is rebirth, jati. And when you get rebirth, jati, what follows is suffering, dukkha, from round of rebirth. Well, I'm telling about my sufferings, not of other people's. I suffered because sanna, perception, had deluded me all along. Sanna, perception, covers up the truth you see. This fraudulent, delusive nature of sanna, perception, must be done away to reveal the real truth. If not, there will always be doubts about the true nature of things. The exalted Buddha had exhorted about anicca, impermanence. But sanna, wrong perception, wrong idea, has distorted and misled us ordinary worldlings, pathujana, into believing in nicca, permanence. The exalted Buddha had preached of dukkha, unpleasantness, suffering. But sanna, perception, has deluded us and has convinced us the wrong concept of sukha, pleasantness. The exalted Buddha had expounded anatta, selflessness. But sanna, perception, has cleverly projected the wrong notion of atta, self, for us to believe in. The exalted Buddha had taught of asubha, loathsomeness, repulsiveness, but sanna, perception, has subtly deceived us and has given the wrong illusion of subha, beautifulness, for us to hold as true. Continually mesmerized by the ingenious pretense, lies and deception of sanna, wrong perception, living beings are bearing dukkha, unpleasantness and sufferings, without even realizing it. The Buddha had exhorted that this elusive deceptive nature of sanna, perception, could be sorted out with the four foundations of mindfulness, satipatthana. And this is how it is done. Mindfulness of body, kaya, nupassana, satipatthana, reveals the wrong perception of beautifulness, subha. Mindfulness of sensation, vedana nupassana, satipatthana, clears away the wrong perception of happiness, sukha. Mindfulness of mind, consciousness, citta nupassana, satipatthana, expose the wrong perception of permanence, nicca, and mindfulness on the nature of mind-matter phenomena, dhamma nupassana, satipatthana, unveil the wrong perception of self, atta. When your body is in contact with something, phassa, contact of tactile object with body sense door, you are aware of the touch. As long as you are mindful, sati, heedful, appamada, of that awareness of touch, you are equipped with the four foundations of mindfulness. This is how it is. Mindfulness of the body touch, phassa, alone, i.e. the bare awareness of the touch, is experiencing the mindfulness of the body, kaya nupassana. When there is touch, phassa, there arises sensation, feeling, vedana. Mindfulness of that feel, the sensation of touch, is mindfulness of sensation, vedana nupassana. Mindfulness solely on the thought of being aware of that touch sensation is mindfulness of consciousness, citta nupassana. As your mind is so concentrated and pure, free of the 5 hindrances, Nivarana, 32, you are mindful of taking the elements of body-mind phenomena just as they are without any thought or emotion whatsoever, with complete equanimity. That is mindfulness of the nature of body-mind phenomena, Dharma-nupassana. When you practice these 4 foundations of mindfulness over and over again, they will clear out your skeptical doubts and erroneous views. You come to know impermanence as real impermanence, anicca, unpleasantness as real unpleasantness, dukkha, selflessness as real selflessness, anatta, loathsomeness as real loathsomeness, asubha. In days before, I used to be so proud, boastful, vain and conceited. I tried to think of ways and means of getting money from other people's pockets. And when I got it, I thought I was so smart and bright. These conceited thoughts with false sense of vanity were all because of delusion, ignorance, avidya, which was pushing me down to the 4 nether worlds. 33. Apaya. After repeated Vipassana practice, I came to realize that I wasn't heading in the right direction. So I decided to change ways. I resolved not to depend on the son, nor the daughter, nor even the wife with whom I had shared my life. Then, to whom shall I depend on? Buddham saranam gacchami. I take refuge in the Buddha. Dhamman saranam gacchami. I take refuge in the Dharma. Samjam saranam gacchami. I take refuge in the Samgha. Because of my refuge in these 3 jewels, Buddha, Dharma, and Samgha, I no longer need to plow the paddy fields, nor to harvest the crops of rice and corn. No more making the village fencing. The resounding beating of the gong from the village chief's house can be heard booming in continuity, summoning for assembly. They may strike the gong till it is broken, but I will not go, never ever again. NB Century. It is a culture of Myanmar, especially in villages, rural towns and even in suburban city districts, for men to take turns for sentry duty at sentry posts during nighttime to watch out for fire, thieves, etc. Now that I am a bhikkhu, the sanctuary of Sasana has provided me with so much peace and tranquility. There is no fear any more of the grain warehouse being caught fire. There is nobody now who owns me, scolds me or nags me. There is nobody who grumbles or criticizes me. Nobody who wails or whines, nor one who fusses around. The more I think about it, the more I appreciate living as a bhikkhu, free from agitation and disturbance, from hassles and suffering. So much peace, so much tranquility, the extinction of all suffering. The final curtain certainly will be Nibbana. That was how Sayadaw U Kawi concluded his first sermon.